Now read along with me as I read the directions for Part C. Remember, you should not read ahead or turn the pages while the directions for this part are being read. Part C. Directions. In this part of the test, you will hear several talks. After each talk, you will hear some questions. The talks and questions will not be repeated. After you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book and choose the best answer. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the question and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Here is an example. On the recording, you hear, "Listen to an instructor talk to his class about bumblebees."
The familiar black and yellow bumblebee is often found in fields of red clover. It is the only bee with a tongue long enough to fertilize this plant, so it is impossible to raise red clover where there are no bumblebees. Like the queen wasp, the queen bee is the only member of her colony that lives through the winter. She starts a new colony in her underground nest every spring by laying from 400 to 1,000 eggs in wax cells, or combs. Bumblebees also produce honey. Their nests are often dug up and the contents eaten by bears, mice, and other animals.
Now listen to a sample question. Why is it impossible to raise red clover where there are no bumblebees? In your test book, you read, A. Only bumblebees can fertilize red clover plants. B. Bumblebees protect red clover from plant-eating insects. C. Bumblebees bring water to red clover plants on their tongues. D. Bumblebees keep mice and other animals away from red clover plants. The best answer to the question, "Why is it impossible to raise red clover where there are no bumblebees?" is A. Only bumblebees can fertilize red clover plants. Therefore, the correct choice is A. Now listen to another sample question. According to the speaker, in what way are the queen wasp and the queen bee similar? In your test book, you read, A. They both make honey. B. They both build combs. C. Both of them are found in underground nests. D. They both live through the winter. The best answer to the question, according to the speaker, in what way are the queen wasp and the queen bee similar, is D. They both live through the winter. Therefore, the correct choice is D. Remember, you are not allowed to take notes or write in your test book. Now we will begin Part C with the first talk. Questions 39 through 42. Listen to part of a lecture given by a business professor.
Well, I guess that's it for today's discussion on advertising as an important aspect of marketing. Next week, I'd like to move away from marketing and into distribution. That is, the chain of movement of goods from their sources, often factories, to their final destinations, us, the consumers. For that discussion, you'll need to read Chapter 5 in your text. Make sure you read it carefully. We may have a short quiz on it at the beginning of our next class. As you are reading Chapter 5, pay careful attention to the differences and similarities between wholesalers and retailers. They are the most important middlemen in the chain of distribution of goods and services, and it's crucial for you to understand the roles they play in getting goods from factories to consumers. Oh, and one last thing. Don't forget to leave today's homework on my desk as you leave the classroom. I'll take a look at it this week and get it back to you at our next class meeting.
Number 39. What was the topic of today's earlier discussion? Number 40. According to the speaker, what is distribution? Number 41. What might happen at the beginning of the next class? Number 42. What would the speaker like the students to think carefully about when doing their assigned reading?